Averaging grades is mathematically accurate. It is also one of the most dishonest things we do to a student. I said in an earlier video that your gradebook is lying to you. A few of you wrote back with obvious questions. Fair enough. If averaging is broken, what do you actually do instead? This is that video. No theory. The exact thing I do in my own classroom and what you can try on Monday. Here is a rule everything else hangs on. A grade should answer one question. What does this student know right now? Not what they knew in week 1. Not the rough draft of their understanding. What they can do today. The moment you accept that, averaging falls apart on its own. An average is a record of every version of a student, including the worst one, frozen and given equal weight forever. So the first thing I do is stop treating every score as a grade. I separate practice from proof. Practice is where learning is allowed to be ugly. First attempts, homework, the quiz a student fails because they are still figuring it out. I read all of it. I give feedback on all of it. None of it goes in my gradebook. Proof is a demonstration that the student has actually arrived. That is the only thing I record. When you split those two, a low early score stops being a wound the student carries all term. It becomes what it always was, information. Let me show you what this looks like in a real gradebook, because this is where teachers get nervous. Take a student learning to solve equations. First attempt, they score a 4 out of 10. Second attempt, a 6. Third attempt on a fresh problem under the same condition, a 9. The averaging teacher records all 3 and writes down a 63, which represents a D. I wrote down a grade that reflected where that student was, not the full journey it took to get there. That student didn't get lucky on the 3rd try. They learned it. Same difficulty, same conditions. The only thing changed was the student. The 9 is the grade that shows you where the student is at today. That is the whole shift in one line. I record where the student landed, not the turbulence on the way down. And practically, in the gradebook, this is a replacement, not a stack of a new column. When the 9 comes in, it replaces the 4. You are not keeping a graveyard of every attempt. You are keeping the current truth about that student. And you update it as the truth changes. Now, the objective. I have heard it in every staff room I've ever stood in. If the late 9 counts the same as the early 9, you are not being fair to the student who got the right the first time. I want to take that seriously because it is the honest version of the disagreement. Here is my answer. The student who got it right the first time and the student who got it right on the 3rd both ended up in the same place. They both know how to solve the equation. The grade measures the knowledge. It is not a medal for speed. If you want to reward a student who arrived first, do it with a comment, with a recognition, with the next challenge already on their decks. You do not do it by permanently lowering the grade of the student who arrived second. That is not fairness. that is a tax on slow starts. There is one piece people miss, and it is the piece that keeps this honest. Picture a student who scores a 9 once and then a 4 on the same skill the next week. That 9 was a good day, not mastery. So I don't blank it. I go back, I reteach, and I wait for the demonstration that holds up under a second look. That's the guard. I don't record the most recent score. I record the most recent reliable score. Both words carry weight. Recency stops you punishing growth. Reliability stops a student banking one lucky attempt. Together they give you a number you can defend to a parent, an admin, or the student themselves. One more thing, because it's the honest limit of what I've shown you. On a single skill, you can track this on paper. Across every student and every standard, it becomes a system problem. And that's a different kind of work. It's the reason I'm building a course with the tools and the tracking that keep this from eating your weekends. The link is in the description. Nothing is on sale yet. Get on the list and you'll be first to know when it opens. So, what do you do on Monday? You don't rebuild your whole gradebook this week. You start with one skill. Pick one concept you're teaching. Tell your students the first 2 attempts are practice and won't count against them. Tell them the third is the one that goes in the book, and they can keep raising it after that if they want. Then watch the child in the back who usually stops trying after the first bad mark. That's the entire method in miniature. One skill, one unit, no permission required. In the next video, I'm dealing with the thing that scares teachers more than the grade book itself. The parent who emails you at 10 p.m. because their kid's grade changed and they want to know exactly why. I'll give you the script I actually use. Before that, one question in the comments. What's a skill in your subject where students almost always need a second attempt before it clicks? Name it. I read these and I build future videos around the ones that come up most. Today, record the destination, not the turbulence.